Hi team, it is time for the property Q&A. It's Kam Dovedi and we are at Premier Property. So if you're joining me here, this is live on Facebook, and it's recorded and it is now delivered to you on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you know you can subscribe, you know you can click on that bell icon just to make sure that you get these Q&As every week. And we're doing this every week. The market is hot. Who's actually finding that the property market is hot? If you're here team, feel free to share, comment, like, whatever you like. I love to hear from you. I'm feeling a little bit of a silly mood today, but you know, let's get into property. I love property. Maybe you love property. That's why you're here, right? So much fun. And we are going to jump into the questions that we get each week. We've got Derek here. Derek is actually one of our Premier Property community members. He's a very well-heeled investor, also a very humble guy at the same time, is what I can say about Derek. And Derek is asking, what is the best online letting agent to advertise rental properties on Rightmove and Zoopla these days? So, the one that I'm loving right now, Derek, and if you're watching this, of course, you know, you're looking at, promoting your properties yourself, rental, then, you know, the ones that we like the best, the website that is working fabulously well right now, and they change from time to time. The one that we're loving at Premier Property now is Open Rent. Open Rent actually goes all the way to Rightmove, yes, it goes to Zoopla. It also is actually on prime location and on the market. Got to keep that one in mind. On the market. So all the ones that are actually working, they will extend your rental to all of these websites and many more. So it's a great tool, great way of doing it, very cost effective. So Derek, hope that helps. That's the one to test if you haven't already. So by the way, if you're joining me here, feel free to say hi. We've got Carlos here. Hi Carlos. And we've got Ellen as well. Ellen's joining us. Good to see you. So let's carry on with the next question, and the next question is, right, so this is from, I believe this is Anna, because it says PPIC member, and that's I believe that's you, right, Anna, in disguise? Yeah, so that's Anna. So Anna's asking a very technical question. She's into planning and so on. She's into doing permit developments, and the question that Anna is asking, just want to double check quickly whether the below fees of planning consultants are reasonable. And the fees that she's put down, she's put planning drawings and submission for a single story side or rear extension. And she's got here £800 plus VAT. Anna then has planning drawings and submission for a loft extension, £900 plus VAT. Building control drawings, £900 plus VAT for single story side or rear extension, and £1,000 plus VAT for a loft extension. Right, okay, so carry on. So hopefully you're making note of these. Building control drawings for a flat conversion without the extension, and that she's put down as £1,300 plus VAT. So, having done a number of developments over time and dealing with lots of different people, what I find is the price needs to be, in a bracket where it makes sense. So, you do get what you pay for. However, there are architects out there and planning consultants out there where, they might, how can I put it politely? You know what I'm saying, right? So, they probably won't be the best if they're too cheap. But there are planning consultants and architects that are quite expensive at the same time. So the figures that you just shared there, Anna, are the top end of what we pay at Premier Property. You can find architects, it's in the right bracket. So, like what I say right at the beginning, you get what you pay for. So you do want someone, you pay well, and you do want someone who's actually going to deliver what they've promised to you. So if you're like us at Premier, that's exactly what you want. So those numbers do work. Have a shop around though. So have an assessment with other architects and planning consultants where, remember, an architect can do part of the job. So they can do the planning consultant part, or they will know other planning consultants that they can, subcontract. So you might find that you can potentially get a around a 25% discount of the figures that you said. It's in the right ballpark, like I just said. It's on the top end of it, but it's on the reasonable top end. Have a conversation. See if you can get another 25% of those figures. But if you are happy, the way we work at Premier is if you're happy with your architects, you trust them, you know that they can perform, and you're gonna have an easy life. Then, to be fair, I'm okay with paying the top end of the reasonable bracket. Hope that answers your question. 25% to top end is the figures that you've shared. So hopefully you've noted those numbers down for you as well. Anna's actually in a project right now. I know this because she's part of our Premier Property community. Lady that's really on it. So great question, Anna. Thank you for that technical specifics. Next up, we have our third question. And this is from James. This is from our Premier Property community. James is in our Premier Property community group on Facebook. Now, if you're here and you haven't joined our group at the moment, then feel free to join. Just go into Facebook, just search for Premier Property, search for Premier Property Community, and you feel free to apply, and we will, of course, open up the doors to you, and you can come on in. We've got a community of thousands of people now, where there are people that are really into property, they're getting into it, a lot of well-heeled investors that are doing property to a very high level standard, and we've got absolutely new beginners as well. Whole mixed bag, really good people. So if you're not already in it, feel free to come along and join us. So that's the Premier Property community group in Facebook. And of course, if you're here on YouTube, then feel free to subscribe and press that bell icon, and I'll make sure that we get these videos over to you on a weekly basis. I'm doing these Q&As every single week, as long as you want these questions answered. And I'd love to hear your comments as well, okay? So feel free to comment below on YouTube if you're watching this. So James is asking, if my mortgage term is single let only, can I get the lender to change it to HMO? So James, here's 3 ways that you can actually do this, how we do it at Premier Property. First of all, check the small print in your contract with your mortgage company, with the lender, because you might find that within there you are allowed to you're actually allowed to multi-let. Now, of course, I can't give you financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what we find in our contracts. So sometimes what you find is, the lender will say, you're not allowed to have a HMO, but you are allowed to rent out to a multi-let. Now, technically, there is a difference. However, technically, in terms of HMOs, whether it's a multi-let where you got one or more unrelated person living in that property, or whether you're calling it a HMO, technically, it doesn't really matter. More than one person, 2 or more unrelated people, is gonna be a HMO. So in effect, that could be a multi-let. And if your contract with your agreement with your lenders is saying that you are allowed to multi-let, well, then that can really work for you. So do check these. The ones that we've used, so I know, the rules change all the time, as you know. Right now, they're changing on a daily basis. Lenders are literally just making it up as they go along, It just feels like that, actually, sometimes. So they are changing. So do check in with a good mortgage broker. But one of the ones that we've done a little while ago, this was last year, we had TSB. TSB, they were actually having a multi-let product. And this multi-let product, multi-tenancy product meant that you could actually have different, you could have more than one unrelated person in that property. So do check it. So that'd be the first thing. Now, once you've checked it, if you find that they are saying that you can't rent it out, then what you can do is you can move to another lender that you're going to find valuable, where they will allow you to multi-let or a HMO product. So that's the other thing that you can do. So you can still use your property as a HMO, provided you get the right lender. That's the second way that you can do it. And the third way that you can do this is have a conversation with the lenders. Now, this is probably, you probably got about a 5% chance of them agreeing this, but you can have these conversations, and we've had these conversations at Premier Property, and it's quite surprising when you actually ask on what you can actually get. So if you have that conversation with a lender, especially if they're a commercial-based lender, like us, we find Aldermore, for example, comes to mind. Mortgage lender is another one. So these kind of lenders, they can be amicable, and they can actually listen to you, and it could be that they change and have a product switch for you. So a few ways that you can do this. So hope that answers your question there. 3 ways that you can make that work for you. Joining us right now is Rangan. Rangan, good to see you. Rangan's in the Premier Property Inner Circle community. He's on it as well. Feel free, by the way, every week to ask your questions. I'm going to take one more question here, then we're going to wrap up. If you've got any questions right now, feel free to ask. If you're watching this live on Facebook, it's recorded and it is available for you, of course, on YouTube. But if you're watching this live and you've got a question, now's the time to ask. Happy to take a question from you right now. And in the meantime, I'm going to take this question here. And, okay. So this is from actually Elizabeth. This is Elizabeth Brown. Elizabeth Brown also in our PPIC community. So she is saying, I've recently heard that it is possible to remortgage 2 or more properties at the same time. I doubt this comment is true since it will have an impact on a person's credit file, but is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Absolutely. We're doing a number of these right now. You just happen to be in my office. Oh my God. There you go. These are remortgages happening this month. So yes, you can. It's doable. Does it impact your credit file? Well, if it's a remortgage that you're doing, there'll be some impact to it. However, typically in my experience, you can get away with 3 or 4 where it doesn't massively impact your file. So your credit score won't be 999, but you don't need it to be 999. Mine changes from being 999 to being very poor to being fair to being very good to being excellent again. It just goes up and down depending on your applications. But remember, the lenders aren't necessarily looking at that credit score that you are finding on Experian or Equifax or Cold Credit, the 3 main, credit report providers. They're more looking at their own criteria for their credit score. So if it's just the case that you've had some searches on your file because of remortgages, lenders, in my experience, they're okay with that to an extent. I mean, on the top end, we're probably getting, I suppose right now is a bit of the top end. So, we've got 7 or 8 applications, which are remortgages this month. Normally, we might have 2 or 3, 1 to 3, something like that, which is absolutely fine. So that's okay. Hope that answers your question there. So it's been a nice, short, sharp one today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you for a Q&A next Tuesday. Now, if you're watching this live, I'm talking to the team, talking to you. If you want your questions answered, all you got to do is simply ask the question. And I would really urge you to think about your property journey. Think about moving from now to the next week. What is your bottleneck that you want to move out of the way? What is it that you need help with? What's the assistance? Or it might be you don't know what you need to do and just explain your situation. That's okay as well. So anything and everything that can help you to move forward. It's Kam Dovedi at Premier Property. Subscribe. You know this, and I'll see you next week. See you later.